Hello, this is Robert. I'm a tax attorney here at TRP, and we're going to go over California FTB tax debt forgiveness, what you need to know. So, persons that owe taxes to the California Franchise Tax Board don't always qualify for tax debt forgiveness. In fact, most people will not get their actual debt reduced in any way when it comes to the FTB. So, it's much harder than the IRS, and we'll also go over the reasons for that shortly. So, below are the options for tax debt forgiveness with the FTB. Number one, offer and compromise. Number two, penalty abatement. And number three, there's an agent procedure for removing the debt that's really rare. So, offer and compromise is generally the best result in most tax cases. A California FTB offer and compromise is an agreement to settle the tax debt for less than the amount owed. To get accepted, your debt should be more than your assets, you should have low income, and you are older. These offers are harder to get than they are for the IRS. It's very common to have clients that will get an IRS offer approved but still have a payment plan for the state. So, why are offers from California harder than the IRS to get accepted? Age is taken into consideration. They got 20 years to collect and they always find ways to extend that 20 years. The balance is lower compared to IRS balances in almost all cases. And more discretion is left to the agent in the FTB, whereas they're more strictly on the rules with the IRS. The good news, though, is you get to wait about 3 months for a response from the FTB. IRS, some of these self-employed ones, they drag them on. You might be waiting 2 years almost for a response. So, California FTB penalty abatements. This is the other type of tax debt forgiveness. If you end up in an installment agreement or paying in full, you may be able to request a penalty abatement from the CA. Hello, this is Robert. I'm a tax attorney here at TRP, and we're going to go over California FTB tax debt forgiveness, what you need to know. So, persons that owe taxes to the California Franchise Tax Board don't always qualify for tax debt forgiveness. In fact, most people will not get their actual tax debt reduced in any way when it comes to the FTB. Below are the options for CA FTB tax debt forgiveness. One, offer and compromise. Two, a penalty abatement. And three, there's an agent procedure for removing debt. That's pretty rare. So the best result is offer and compromise in most cases. And a CA FTB offer and compromise is an agreement to settle the tax debt for less than the amount owed. Basically, it's a tax debt settlement. To get accepted, your debt should be more than your assets, you should have low income, and you should be older. These offers are harder to get than they are for the IRS. It's very common to have clients who will get an IRS offer approved, but still have a payment plan for the state. So, why are offers from California harder than the IRS to get accepted? Age is taken into consideration. California has 20 years to collect, and the FTB always finds ways to extend that time. The balance is lower than the IRS balance. You might owe the IRS $50,000, you might owe California $10,000, and because California that's only $10,000, they think they can collect it sooner, so you won't get a settlement. Or you might have an asset that's worth $15,000, and so the IRS offer still works, but California says, "Hey, your asset's too big compared to your debt here, so you're not going to get it." And more discretion is left to the agent. IRS goes strictly more by the rules, and the FTB, the agent, has a little more sway on the result. The good news is it's only about 3 months for a response to the FTB, whereas the IRS, on self-employed cases, sometimes you wait in almost 2 years to get a response. So, California FTB penalty abatements, the other type of tax debt forgiveness. If you end up in an installment agreement or paying in full, you may be able to request a penalty abatement from the CA FTB. The penalty abatement, if approved, will remove the penalties and interest on the penalties from the tax year. It's not going to take base interest off. It's going to take interest that was on that penalty if it gets approved. So, why are penalty abatements tough to get from California? No first-time abatement like the IRS. The IRS will give you a first-time abatement based on prior compliance. If they look at your years and in a series of years, the first year you owe, they then go 3 years prior to that. If there was no penalties assessed on the computer those prior 3 years, they'll give you a penalty abatement based on prior compliance just on the fact that you didn't have problems before. And we actually will have information on our guide, which we'll link below, on how to do that if you're trying to get one for the IRS. Okay. California FTB ones are going to be based on a reasonable cause, things like divorce, death in the family, and these reasons need to be good and affecting reasons to file and or pay. Just having those happen is not enough. California denies the vast majority of requests, and we'll always let people know penalty abatements with the FTB are hard to get. So here's the third option, very rare, okay? And this is where the agent removes the debt from the account because they see it as a write-off. They're not going to be able to collect it. There's certain reasons for it. And I've seen this only happen once, and it was for a mother of disabled children. She was taking care of older autistic children, and the agent felt bad for her, and it was like a case of extreme hardship, and they did this. I do not expect this to happen in most cases, but I've seen it happen once and done a lot of these cases. I've only seen it happen one time. So what are the other options? With California FTB debts, most people end up paying them in full one way or another. If you can't get an offer in compromise, then paying in full, a payment plan, or a hardship request are the next best thing. Don't want to do it yourself? Get help from our expert tax attorneys. Call us at 888-515-4829 or go to trp.tax. You can also click the link below. We order the information, check it all out, file what needs to be filed, and proceed on the best resolution. If we cannot help you, we'll tell you. There's no sales pitch. We only submit settlements when appropriate. And if you're going it alone, check out our free tax help guide at trp.tax/taxhelp. Thanks for watching.